Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Enlighten Up podcast. Today, we are going to be sharing a lot of information for the upcoming full moon in Aries. It is happening on either October 9th or 10th, depending on where you are in the world. And of course, who better than to give us all of the wisdom, but our favorite astrologer and seer, Mary Dusina. Welcome back to the show, sweetie. How are you doing today?
Greetings to all your wonderful, savvy, bright little lights of tribe audience. Thank you. I'm excited to be back. It's an interesting time for autumn in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a very magical time.
It is. I really love this time. You know, here in Colorado, all the aspens are starting to turn into their golden colors. And so it's only for about 3 weeks that it happens. So everyone like rushes into the mountains too.
Oh, it's the same here in Tennessee. Yeah. You're a little ahead of us, You're a little ahead of us because Colorado's a Leo state and Gemini is Tennessee's external solar sign. So they're already trying to come in like Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville. They're all booked. And they chose Gatlinburg in Tennessee this year, the Smoky Mountains, to be the first ever location, Vortex, for this new night hawk that's called, it's on YouTube, Astrologer. And it's only been presented, I think, like 32 times. But the mountains, the Smoky Mountains, won the first time for it to come to the United States with the torches and the stars. And they incorporate the constellations with the night walk and everything. It's almost like a half-star rave party kind of walk, but I think it's family-centered. But it's all about the stars, and it's all about the night sky coming as we're out on Mother Earth. And it's Astra, A-S-T-R-A, Lumina on YouTube, and they do a little trailer thing for it. So it's exciting. I want to go to that. It wasn't supposed to open until November 1st, but it's so popular. And believe it or not, in these days of work shortages, we don't have enough help and supply chain, blah, 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 seer porn, they're actually opening up ahead of schedule. Smart. And so they're going to open up, as we start to go into Scorpio, which how better is that to open it up in Scorpio, nocturnal, prior to Halloween, but I mean, it was still going to be on November 1st on All Saints Day, but they're moving it up to come into the first part of Scorpio. So they're going to move it up to like October 21st. And I'm like, yeah, let all the tourists hit that first before I go. And I think it's limited to like maybe 90 minutes. Like it's not a big deal. And no, I'm not getting any endorsements or any paybacks or kickbacks from the venue of Astrolumina, but I've just never seen anything like it. I mean, I've gone to observatories. I've done the star shows in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and, like you've got a great observatory out west in Arizona. I mean, I've done those kind of things, and it's really moving. I mean, people should get a little bit more, a lot more astrologers are getting into real sky astrology, as well as Western astrologers blending with that. So we're, a lot of people are buzzing and talking about the asteroid that was hit, and the Milky Way is visible in the sky. And as we come toward the next new moon, it's our eclipse in Scorpio. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's beginning to say, look up, look up, just start looking up. And for most humanoids, we're mammals that tend to like to get out in nature more and look up more in the autumn or the spring. So we've got both our northern and our southern hemispheres coming into a most magical time. And both cycles, ironically, spring and autumn for us here in the northern hemisphere, do a leaf dance, and a flower dance. So for us here in the mountains with the northern hemisphere, we're getting all the beautiful fire colors on the leaves. We're starting to see the as you said, the aspens and the golds and the bronzes and the oranges, and then the reds come. We've got, our red maples here already beginning to turn color, and the breeze is, you notice that there's a change in the air quality. And when you go outside and the temperatures aren't in the 90s anymore, and they're dropping to where they're not even hitting 70, as far as your daily temperature high, then there's something about, they call it the crispness in the air. It just feels like that your lungs are truly being revived. There's not as many insects out in the playground of Mother Nature to get you. The fleas and the ticks and the chiggers and all that tend to be, settling down. Certain snakes are in their season, like here in the Smoky Mountains, the copperhead babies, very dangerous. The copperhead babies are very prolific now, in this beginning part, the opening of October, the end of September, opening of October until November 1st. And most people don't know that viper babies are born with all the poison at birth. Just like females are born with all their eggs. And we're born with all our eggs, all the eggs we'll ever have in a lifetime. I had a doctor explain that to me once. I'm like, I never knew that. When you're born biologically female, you have all the eggs. You may have these monthly cycles as you go through time, and prior to your fluid cycle and after your fluid cycle and menopause, but you still have all your eggs. So it's interesting. We're still releasing through the fallopian tubes the area of Venus in the body, the ovaries, the bladder, the uterus, as it's beginning to drop yet a very powerful flower seed or egg from the flowers of the fallopian tubes. And if it were that one was interested in becoming seeded with a new life form, then that's when a woman's on her moon or her monthly cycle. Just prior to that is often when there is the dropping through the fallopian tubes of the egg or the flower of life type of a thing. So Venus is kind of akin to that. We had the new moon in Venus over 9/25. Venus is the sign of pursuits of pleasure.
You mean Libra?
Peaceful places. It's Venus is about negotiation and win-win scenarios, and I call it the resting grin face instead of the resting bitch face. It's the resting pleasure face, or it's the resting smile face, or it's the big grin. It's that which makes us grin. So humor, get your best game on to do with lightening up the room or the lunch or the business meeting, and allow the humor to be something that is part of the uplift of all these air signs. We've got a very strong grand trine happening. So to me, when we get a burst of wind, when we get these zephyrs, these celestial, air currents that come in, it's a type of currency, and it's clearing the air. And we just witnessed the hurricane, and everybody's talking about the eye of the hurricane Ian and the outer bands of the hurricane Ian. And so when you look at the word seer, which is really the opposite of Libra, when you look at the word seer, and you just take the letters, a word that would represent each one of the letters, F, fear, E, expressing, A, as our reality. Fear, expressing as reality. Fear or worry are not a reality. It's 180 degrees from maybe faith or affirmations or casting intentions like we often do at new moons. And then when we come to the full moons, like this one of October, I'm just going to hit the midpoint between the 8th and the 10th, October 9th, in Aries, one of the blooming points that I've not heard astrologers talk about yet on the internet, or that's why we're here with you, Nicole, to bring the new stuff, is that this full moon, the Aries full moon rise at mid-degrees, 16 degrees, is the beginning, follow me, it's the beginning or the start point of the 12 celestial spices parade. So Aries in the Western zodiac, which is the polarity or the balance of the opposite sign to Libra energies, this full moon is in Aries. So we spoke about with Nicole last month that the full moon in Pisces in September, Pisces being the 12th or final precession of the Western zodiac, Aries is starting an entire full moon cycle all over again. So you look at your full moons of happening every 28.5 days. And this one in October, although we've already had the seasonal equinox, this full moon sign, wherever you are in the world, in the Western zodiac is in Aries. So this is about the fire, Aries. It's the first cardinal fire sign, the fires of what we desire. So if we're not so congenial or so favorable within ourselves about something about our diet or our nutrition or our health regime, or we're starting to get into that fear I talked about, or that worry I talked about, oh no, soon there'll be snow and the things I love to do, for the last, 6 months are going to begin to settle down, and I'm going to be doing more of an internal snowbound, got to respect the ice type of a cycle that's coming in as Yuletide solstice approaches. So the leaves, that which is leaving in autumn, the leaves are waving goodbye to us and swirling in the autumn breezes in their colors of yellow, which is the third chakra, and has to do with our self-talk, our thoughts, our verbal arrows, our ability to uplift the energies with our voice, with our song, with our written word, with Mars and Gemini. We've got Saturn and Aquarius. So we have a grand trine separating and coming close together as we approach the new Venus star point, also an air sign, going into Libra. It's been 100 years since Libra's hit that particular star point. And there's some great stuff. Listen, it's really technical, so I'm not going to go into it. But if you want to go technical, just go on the internet and type in the Venus star point of October 2022. It's when Venus is going to join the sun at Cazimi, or kiss the heart of the sun, over October 21st and 22nd, specifically the 22nd. And I will tell you, even if you go into a gas station or a little convenience store and buy one of those $1 or $5 or five $1 tickets, or $10 worth of the $5 scratch and sniff tickets I talk about, the scratch off lottery, not the regular lottery, but the scratch off tickets. They have all kinds of colors, and some are $2 and some are $4 and some are $1. And that's a great day because Venus has to do with a fortunate cycle, both in our personal expression, our romantic pursuits, our pleasure pastures, and also with good fortune and upliftment to do with finances, and have to do with some kind of like win-win scenario in that. So we just stick our little foot, our little big toe in the water by walking in and actually buying the ticket. And I mean, I did it the other day when Mercury was bouncing around, playing around with it, getting ready to go into retrograde, and I went in and I only spent $2, and both my tickets were, you get another ticket. So it's fun to kind of take something that's not going to stress you too much financially and go play the odds, so to speak, in some type of a dance with the celestial function. So on full moon.
So let's just like pause there for a second. So everyone who's listening, let's all like go on the 21st and 22nd. Everyone, like, if you feel like it, go grab a scratch and win. And everyone, like, let me know what happened. I want to know.
Absolutely. I'm going to do it. I'm just open for the higher archangels to bless me. I know that I, by nature, am not a tightwad. I love to bless animals and people, so I've already got that karma taken care of.
Here's an interesting synchronicity that I'm going to share with you right now. I was going to wait till the end of the show, but it's so perfectly timed right now. I have to share it now. So I pulled a couple cards before we started around this full moon.
Thank you.
And because it's a full moon in Aries, but the sun is in Libra, which is about others, right?
Yes.
And it's very close to Venus. Venus is very close to conjuncting it. And so the first card that I got here, I'll show the audience, Mary, you can't see it, but gathering around the power of community.
Absolutely.
Was the first one. And so I love that because there is this essence, when we think about the full moon in Aries, it's about releasing. There's something about ourselves that we're kind of letting go, or something is being very illuminated. And with that Venus energy so close to the sun in Libra opposing this full moon, it's like there's some sort of illumination there that's got a very beautiful trine with Saturn too, that by working together, right, we can accomplish a lot more. And the other card that came up with that is the manifestation card, and it says prosperity, fortune, pure intention. So just as we're talking about all of it, like the scratch and wins and everything, which I thought was kind of funny, but there is something maybe very prosperous that's leading us, maybe because we talk about the full moon, it's, you kind of look over the next couple of weeks, which leads us into that time frame of the 21st, 22nd, because the solar eclipse in Scorpio is not till the 25th. So just there's something about, I want to say with this message, that when we can release this idea of, I need to do it alone, I can only do it alone, that when we lean on others and we bring in the power of community, that more can be accomplished and a better outcome possibly comes into the equation.
Well, perfectly said. And see, Aries accelerates. Libra communicates because it's Venusian, so it has to do with, when sometimes in certain restaurants, someone will say to you, "What's your pleasure?" When you're at the bar where they're going to, come and present the very Venus factor of dessert. So what we have is Mercury did its direct turn, so it turned around direct to say, okay, now my face is in tandem. Now my face is going with the breeze, with the winds of change. So Mercury went direct at 24 degrees of Virgo, but it's within a 1 degree opposition. So we're talking about our mutable, which means changeable type of signs of Virgo, Pisces, and Gemini and Sagittarius. Mars is in Gemini for a while. It's going to retrograde very soon at the end of October. So what we have is Mercury turned direct in the third layer, because there's only 30 degrees to a sign, so it turned direct in those later degrees of 24 degrees of Virgo. Some of the events that were trying to cycle around us at the new moon of September the 25th now can start to receive the clarity, or the missing pieces of the puzzle start to come in, and we're able, even if we quietly kept it to ourselves about being hesitant, about really not knowing if it was the right time to confront that scenario, that situation, that person, by October 11th, when Mercury moves into the negotiating scales of justice, arbitrator sign of Libra on 10/10 or 10/11, then what we have is the first nice coming together of Venus with the foundational agent, the one that, the person at the driver's ed place that says, yep, you passed your test, or, when everything goes good with any kind of legal thing or any kind of like tax thing or any kind of like mechanical thing. It's like, oh no, it's not as bad as you thought. That first day is going to be October 14th, when Venus in Libra connects very beautifully to Saturn in Aquarius. So again, air, here's your themes: air, our breath, what we feel when we breathe in, uplifts us and encourages us and pleases us. Air, wind, the voice, music, artistic, creative endeavors, again, incorporating tribe, realizing that there is something that is a big deal when you meet someone new and you just feel that there's this ancient connection with them. I don't know what it is, but I know him, or I don't know what it is, but I feel so good around her, versus when a lot of planets are retrograde like we've been going through with 6, and then Mercury was retrograde till October 2nd, versus when somebody's sugaring us up and acting all nice, but then our intuition is going, no, this is not as it appears to be. And that's not judging the person. That's recognizing how your intuitive antenna is beginning to dialogue with you on the inside of you, akin to your intuition. So you want your discernment and your intuition dials tuned up when you're going into public, when you're going in to connect with people, when you're meeting people, when it's someone new coming into your life. Aries full moon is going to spice it up. It's going to spice it up. So it's more gregarious. It's more live and let live. It's when Venus kisses the face of the sun by the 21st and 22nd, which is called Cazimi, Mercury, right there on that 21st and 22nd of October, Mercury, the great communicator, business, finance, is going to be making what we call the most sacred geometric favorable influence, the trine, the 120 degrees. So it's going to invoke security from Saturn. So a secure loan, a secure bet. People are telling us the truth. They are coming to the table with exactly what they said they would come to the table with. There's not the betrayal or the envy or the overreach of competing attitudes or competitive interests. So Mercury is going to trine Saturn. Saturn's going to turn direct. And so all of these, to Nicole's point, all of these with Jupiter, right when this full moon happens, Jupiter being in Aries and Chiron being in Aries, this is a cycle of healing in a beautiful dance of chance with our feelings. So our feelings are rising, make no mistake about it, because Aries is like cayenne pepper. It's the hot spice, it's when people are coming on hot with their eyes or coming on strong, with their energy, and Aries easily can be that hawk energy that, I don't back off from things. Come at me and I'll show you. It's Mars ruled. And Mars right now, here we go back to the breath, the whispered word, the promises, on the pillowcase kind of a thing, because Libra is very romantic and Libra is very much into the pleasure principle. So here we have Mars and Gemini, and we've got the Libra new moon that happened on 9/25 at Rosh Hashanah, and we're in the 10 days of awe, and the Feast of Trumpets is happening, the shofar, the ram's horn, that's Aries, the hollowed out ram's horn is called a shofar. And in the Middle East, they're sounding the shofar for 10 days, which are called the High Holy Days. And it starts at sundown at Rosh Hashanah. In 2022, that happened to be the new moon in Libra. So the ram's horn, there's the balance to the sign of Libra, the Aries, the ram, Libra, the dove of peace. So the ram's horn is being sounded during these 10 days of awe that become to their fruition at sundown, October 5th, 6th at Yom Kippur. So these are known as days of atonement. And in certain aspects of that particular tribe, that particular culture's belief, these are the days of atonement. Well, let's play with that word a little bit in case you're not Judaic or Hebraic. Maybe you're more Orthodox Greek or Serbian, or you like the mystical applications of Buddhism or Sufism or Christianity or Hebraic teachings. You're looking at the lofty spiritual uplift of that. So if we look at the word of these are the days of atonement, and as they believe, God is opening up the book of life and the book of death, and as one atones, the name is getting written in the book of life or the book of death and their belief system. So as we face on and call for divine cleansing, clearing of the chakras, Reiki, Tai Chi, herbs and oils and smudging and saging and nature walks and addressing from where we're planted on Mother Earth and going more into our spirit self and our etheric self, the wind, the air, the divine breath that was breathed into us, and say, divine source, I become, here's the play on words, at one with thee. Atonement, spell it, A-T, at, O-N-E, one, and then meant. So that which is meant to be in our higher, greater dimensional focus, that which is great to be with our ultra-dimensional guides, our angels, our archangels, our ancestors, our elders, those that we adore, that are in the spirit land, that are in the land of the winds and the breeze and the etheric essence, can now come close to us, and we can be at one with that dynamic meeting, partnership, loving radiations and frequencies of tuning up our earthly vessel by the eyes and the winds and the breath of everything that's divine and spiritual. That's the blessing of the higher up frequencies of Mars and Gemini, air, mutable air. Saturn in Aquarius, it's been there for a while, fixed air. And on the Wheel of Fortune, that's the winged man. That's the angel on the tarot card of the Wheel of Fortune. When we get to Libra, then we're dealing with the card of justice. When we get to Gemini, it's Archangel Raphael on the Lover's card, number 6 in the tarot, in the major triumphs. Well, when you study the origins of tarot, the word triumph was the shortened form of the major trumpets or the minor trumpets, because it came from the ancient Isles. And so the word in marketing and publication became the major triumphs or the trumps of the tarot and the minor triumphs or trumps of the tarot. So there's our major arcana, the minor arcana, but then when you look at it as trumpets, it's sounding, it's frequency, it's alive. It's like, in different cultures, they teach about the baptism by water. Take me to the river. So to walk me in the water. So there's the baptism by water, but then there's divine frequencies of the baptism by fire. That's Great Spirit, Holy Ghost. So the divine fire is the enlightenment, the lightning bolts of the divine frequency that, back to the tarot, we see on the Tower card. And so the people that thought they built their ivory tower, that thought they were better than thou, and they've got the tower up on the craggy rocks and it's surrounded by the ocean, and anybody that tries to come to that tower by land or by sea, they can see. This is, tarot. It was before drones and airplanes and things. Okay, so then they think they're all secure, they're higher up, they're sequestered, and when the lightning bolts of fate, the enlightenment bolts of God hit the top of that tower, and their butts are knocked right out the tower windows, the pylon tower. They're knocked out of the tower. By divine force, they were cast out of that holier than thou, better than you, ivory tower. So we all know that in a twinkling of an eye, or the way that we sometimes embolden ourselves with courage and look at that friend and tell them how much they mean thus far on this life walk, or we take that point of courage, even if we've been playfully flirting or romantically engaging with someone, and then we realize sometimes it's all of a sudden, it's like lickety split, and all of a sudden we realize, oh boy, I'm going to have to either wrestle with myself or get at one with this, but I am absolutely finding myself drawn to this person deeper than just our little meetups or hookups or exchanging wonderful sports play as adult humans engaging in sensuality. This is beginning to be a deeper connection for me. And that's what the Libra element and the suddenness of it will be the Aquarius element, and the Mars in Gemini is, oh, for God's sakes, dance with chance. You've been bored for a while. It's been stagnant for a while. So Mars is saying to us, meet them, talk to them, get the conversation going. And the moon in Aries is going to bring all that up. You know, we're sitting around the campfire. We're sitting around the ceremonial fire. It's a medicine wheel. It's the cosmic, your treasure map above your head. It's the constellations spinning with the fire of the sun and the light of the moon illuminating everything, and the star beings and the constellations, you know, Orion right now, and the three different symbolic mythological combinations in the sign of Libra moving into Scorpio. Look that up. What are the signs and constellation symbols in the zodiac sign in the constellation of Libra? I do that every month to remind myself, and then you'll go ahead of yourself and look up what are the actual mythological constellations in the sign of Scorpio. So then you're incorporating, as a human here on Earth, an Earth citizen with the animals and the birds and the elements, fire, earth, air, water, you're becoming more at one with, not just in your apartment, your car, or your house, but you're coming more at one with how heaven and nature can sing through your voice, bless you in your cells, fire off very important frequencies from your atoms and your molecules and your DNA, and your DNA and your RNA can be uplifted and encoded and filled with light. This is a very dynamic time because we're in the polarity of Aries, the hunter moon, the Aries full moon, the sign that's ruled by Mars that says we're on vision quest here, kids. We're on vision quest, no matter what state, country, house, tower, car, nature, hut you're living in, your soul is on mission here. You have purposefulness here. And sometimes we kind of just get caught up in the 3D world about the money we make and how we pay this and how much attention and applause we get and our selfies and our hair colors and, you know, who wants us and finds us attractive, la, 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 la. And then we come into the reality of your spirit has purpose, your words have meaning, and you can encourage or discourage another traveler on this earth walk. And it's about time you get a grip and not fall into the shadow of Aries, where it's just all about me, myself, and I, getting caught up in the I show, where in one of your hands is a mirror, and then the other hand is the flashlight spotlight shining just on you. How's it affecting me? How am I going to alchemize this out of me? What's this mean to me? Am I involved? Do you like me? Is it all about me? Where Libra comes in and says, no, baby, it's us. We're much more powerful as us or a we.
What you're saying is very interesting because literally this morning in my car, I got a message that, and I wanted to do a video on it, but, and I might still do it, but it's going to be applicable to this full moon. And what we're talking about is that the time is now to, like, don't wait. It's like, do it today. And I get this, you know, obviously with Aries full moon, it's Aries ruled, like you said, ruled by Mars. It's very much the initiator, the doer, the conqueror. And but it's coming from a place of, you don't have to do it alone. I'm getting this, there's something around this particular full moon because of the way, like, you've got it conjuncting Chiron in Aries, which brings in a lot of healing energy around self, but also I get this sense it's about, like, I have to do it alone. And it's no, you don't have to do it alone. You can lean on others for help. And with that Venus supportive, nurturing energy that is very much about relationships, you know, and then the sun, you know, coming together. And like you said, it's really, there's something here, like you can do it now, but don't feel like you're alone. You have those people around you to support you, and actually lean on those people, so you are more at, I want to say, and this sounds weird, but more at risk for success. And I
Right.
say
That makes
risk,
sense.
yeah, but I say risk at success because I think a lot of people are afraid of their own success.
They are. You're going to have to level up.
Yeah.
Libra's all about leveling up. Think about its charm and its beauty, and it's any talent contest, any voice contest, and America's Got Talent or The Voice, or any beauty pageant, or any models walking down the runway, or why we are so in allure by certain performers or entertainers, especially when you get into entertainment and singing and song and dance. That's all very Libra. And when you get into the mechanics or the muscle tone of dance, you're going Aries, Sagittarius. So this has a lot to do with, remember, Mercury has turned direct. It's at the 1st of October in the analytical sign of Virgo. So those missing pieces of the puzzle about, maybe there was a little delay with the 6 and 7 planets retrograde when Mercury was retrograde, but with the planets beginning to turn around, Saturn's going to turn around. So when the planets begin to turn around, even if they are retrograde or direct, they're very happy with each other in this fire-air combination. So like Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius gets along great with the Aries full moon. And then you look at Mars in Gemini, stimulates our conversation, invigorates us to be able to, as you said, take a risk and tell someone something about ourselves, let someone in on some information about our desires or ourselves or our preferences, or what makes us feel a little insecure, or some shadow maybe that we've just come through that we were working on. It allows that dialogue to start happening, and it allows, yes, you're taking a little bit of a risk for success in that relationship or that job, but it also lets you come forward as, I'm authentic, I have integrity, and I'm not here to manipulate or play games. What you see is what you get, and is there anything you want to ask me?
Yeah.
It also can be, we learned about others when we let them ask us some stuff.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about, like, when it comes to the reason why many of us are scared of our own success is because there's a lot of responsibility that comes with success. Like you said,
Absolutely.
You level up, right? But Saturn is trining the sun and Venus in Libra, and it's sextiling the full moon in Aries and Chiron. And so you've got a lot of help here in, like, a lot of energetic, the imprint is very favorable to really understanding those responsibilities. And with Mars also trining Saturn, there's so much inspiration and motivation to get the job done.
Well, and as you said, the actual people that have maybe been missing from your creative uptick is all of a sudden those connections, because as long as they were stagnant, or as long as there wasn't enough help showing up for you to run your business, or there were delays in you being able to order the particular food or paper products or whatever that you wanted to order, I keep hearing that with restaurants, now all of a sudden that gets guillotined, because when Saturn and Mars are getting along by transit, and each of you, if you will find the astrologer you like, rather than just relying on the free online stuff, find someone that can help you quicker to unravel the mysteries of your soul signature, your treasure map, your earth birth chart. But in the areas of your chart, the full moon and the new moon are lighting up the axis, the polarity of Aries Libra. So find that wherever you have Libra. If you have Libra in the first house, Aries is automatically 6 signs away, 6 months away in the 7th house. So find that, because that's what's being lit up in your chart. From the new moon of Rosh Hashanah on Sunday, September 25th, this full moon of October 9th is lighting up what seeds were planted to do with our ability to level up, to be more creative, to once again believe in the beauty and the bounty of the harvest of our talents and our skill sets, and new tools are being added to us to be able to be mechanically sound, to go forward with the blessings of that which is invisible, frequency and energy, along with the actual physicality of our earth vessel body. So, we come back into the cliches that you've heard, we're spirit currently having an earth human experience. But this is about invigorating us and tuning us up and aligning us from the inside out at one with atonement, from the inside out. And when we line up and allow the light to give us a nice clean sweep, so to speak, and Mars and Saturn aren't fighting, and you've got Jupiter okay with it, and it's getting along with Mars. So you've got these beneficial planets and what can be considered the disruptive or the mouth type of planets, the ones that are can cause the roadblocks in our path ahead. They're all getting along. They're all getting along. And then go ahead.
No, the only thing I wanted to say, because it's coming in, because obviously just you and I talking, I get so many downloads when we're together and we're chatting here.
You.
But the only really major challenging thing here, or the one that I guess brings in the most, is like this Mars squared and Neptune in Pisces.
Yes.
But what I got, because we're talking about this full moon in Aries, and it's a very, like you said, it's a very emotional, like there's a lot of emotions, it's fiery, like you can get worked up here. But it's important to understand, because we're talking about relationships, community, being able to lean on others, and there's something about this full moon in Aries that is going to be saying, oh, no, you can't move forward without going really deep into something emotional that has to be released. Like there's something that in order for you to be able to move forward in this, like that Mars energy, okay, that's really kind of motivated and inspired and wants to get to work. It's like, before you can do that, you're really going to have to go deep into something that's very, I want to say, hidden, buried, emotional, but also is very much, I want to say, tied to the deeper fantasies of your future.
Yeah. And the pleasure pastures.
Yes.
This goes back minimally. This goes back to April 1st of this year, when the new moon was at mid-degree, 11, 12 degrees of Aries. Then the full moon right after that on April 15th and 16th of 2022, the full moon was opposite this. It was when the sun was in Aries and the full moon rose in the sign of the relationship. So as we were just coming into the second month of spring, April. So then we have Aries, April. So the sun was going through Aries from the point of spring equinox all the way through till the end of April. Mm-hmm. So that's when we had the last stimulus in this whole year. That's when we had the last stimulus of this very polarity that we're talking about. Both Aries and Libra are yang energies. They're yang energies. The air and the fire signs are yang, pulsations of progress, moving forward, trusting thyself and to thine own self be true, engaging with other creative like minds that want to actually see the foundation. The foundation is good. Now let's just clean it up. Let's improve it. And let's make a decision within ourselves that if money weren't the issue, take money off the table, if all the money that you need to do whatever your creative desire is, if money is not the problem, if money is not the issue, like can't even be brought up at the table because it's taken care of, what would you pursue? This is a great cycle to look at that. What and how would you pursue it? Paint that canvas, engage yourself into that written script or that story or that painting, because what's happening is that when we take that'll get in the way, or it would take too long, or I don't have the money for that, and that could take 10 years, and I'd have to get blah, 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 blah. Take all that away, the money thing's off the table. Now, the Taurus Scorpio stuff's off the table. And instead, what you have to, when you talked about the fear of success, what people have to look at is they have to see it, they have to receive it, and then there's the work of running it. You have to run it. You have to manage it. You're the CEO. It's your dream. It's your vision quest. It's your purpose. And when Mars squares with Neptune, this is yin. So when the feminine or the yin energies or the magnetic frequencies happen on the 11th and 12th of October, and it probably will be noticeable if we span that aspect out from like right as that full moon is finishing on the 9th into the 15th. But the key like stimulus, or when it receives maximum impact of the frequency, might be that 12th, 13th, that couple of days right there. Mm-hmm. So if there's any kind of stick in little branch or something that's got caught in your wheels of progress, with all these planets being so positive and pulsating to open the vortices and the doors of success for us and say, go ahead and take your foot out of the door of the past and walk forward with me. We got some eclipses coming up in October, November. This is a dynamic cycle of change. Mm-hmm. Humans don't always realize it emotionally or psychologically, but it's really always beneficial for humans to allow these impacts and these momentums of change to happen, because it keeps us from getting so set in our ways and stagnant, and just, well, I can control this now, and I can monitor that, and I'm the director of this, and I say this or that about my bank account and my relationships with my kids, whatever. And sometimes it's better to sit back and just have that aha moment, that epiphany, because out of the mouth of babes, here walks in a 7-year-old and says something, and you're like, that's some ancient good stuff there. That's straight gold medicine there. Or that 90-year-old person that you let go in front of you at a big box store or a grocery store, and when they turn around and they look at you with those I've been on the planet 80 to 90 years eyes, and send you that kind of thank you. It's often the same kind of light coming out of the central command of the eyes, the windows of the soul, the eyes that a freshly newborn baby will give you when it focuses on you, or an animal in the woods. When the deer comes out of the woods and looks at you and knows you see it and it sees you, how's this going to go down? Or the squirrel trusts you and takes the peanut, or the crow takes a piece of bread. But again, the 80 to 90-year-old eyes, when they turn around with all they've seen, all they've gained, who they've loved, who they've lost. A lot of people at 80 or 90 have lost children and their spouses and jobs. And when you look at these elderly people that are walking on this planet, they've seen decades you might not even walk into. I mean, they've been allowed to become our elder people. And so when they can give you a pearl of wisdom, and a lot of times it's just through a grin, the Libra grin, resting fun face, or a wisdom from just, they tend to talk in short sentences, and older people don't tend to bother with you. They feel like the connection is good, but here we come with the wisdom waves. Out of the baby, we get the innocent waves, and out of the animals, but it all ends up in that category of telepathic atonement. Libra is about, what do I want to go stand in the middle of the lake or the river or the ocean, but mainly the baptism by water, and say, I now allow the second baptism by fire, by holy breath and by fire. So when we're doing our 10 holy days, the 10 days of awe and wonder, as we go to sundown of October 5th into October 6th, as we're now involved in that, as we approach this incredible, there's a whole new 12-month beginning that happens on October 9th. This isn't just because it's the Aries moon. It starts and opens the mystical vortex of Grandmother Moon for the next 12 months. So the Aries in our charts, in our personal charts, that's lit up in a brand new 12-month-long, 12-sign-long vision quest. Absolutely, the moon has to do with our subconscious, deep cellular levels, interdimensional, past life, wisdoms, linking up, gifts and pleasures that you've had in other walkabouts, as the Aborigines call it, as the Outback calls it. All of a sudden becoming very aware that it all is multidimensional, so we can incorporate, if there are such a thing as past life. Everybody has their opinion, but if it is, then we can incorporate that right now as we're walking forward. The best of Nicole and those other walkabouts, the power, the things that Mary learned, the things that you, Tom, and you, Sue, and you, Charlie, and you, Tom, all the things that we gathered in our other bodies with our other names, as our same spirit was progressing, as blessed by the divine fire, we can incorporate that at ceremony under the full moon in Aries.
Well, before we go into the signs, let's sum up the full moon in Aries. Like, people, what would you say, just to kind of sum it up generally, are the key, like the top 3 key things they need to be aware of for this full moon in Aries?
Shadow side would be, don't give in to rage. Rage is boring. A sense of reason is exhilarating. So don't let your impatience or something that you get angry about, here's the shadow side of it, allow yourself to get to that secure space or that great place to vent or release. Like it's how fast do you go into Aries rage when you're on one of those telephone calls with customer service, and they're like, if you'd like to speak to a representative at AT&T, press 1, and you're like, and there's all kinds of memes about it. Representative. I mean, people go nuts. And the road rage that can happen when people are behind a metal wheel of a motorcycle or a car. Not so much airplanes and boats, but, it can happen out there when you're a speedboat person. So Aries is the need for speed and like, oh my God, just get on with it. So the shadow of that is maybe we need to check our impatience and our rudeness factor and us not meaning to, but we're actually walking through that line or in that restaurant with this sense of entitlement. So the shadow side of Aries, I told you, that's when it's just about you. And a lot of times it's the child sign. Aries is the youngest aspect of us. And, we've all been around kids. I want it because I want it and I want it now. The positive side of Aries is the light warrior that walks in this world ready to defend and to honor and to be the knight or the princess of light. So we willingly take on the vision quest of the Aries saying to us, and what would you defend? And what would you fight for as a right for yourself and a right for someone else? So it's got to do with the standing up for. Think about the scales of justice. Think about holding the sword of justice, the sword of truth. And then Aries is also about, this is not the time for you to sit there and scratch your head and get caught up in the shadow of Mars traveling in Gemini, where you get lost in your head, and the Virgo square to Neptune in Pisces, and you're overanalyzing everything. And what about this? And what about that? I call it, the circus of the mind. Dun, 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 stop. So what if that happens? And then what if that happens? And what about this? And what about that? And you're getting caught up in the wheels of worry, and they're only going to collapse in on themselves, and you're spinning like the hamster in the wheel. So the shadow of the Gemini is talking more than doing, and getting caught up in the anxiety in the mental world, like you lose your sleep. You can't go to sleep. You feel like that you're frustrated because you just can't catch up on your sleep. You're not getting enough rest. And here's what people say to me: I just can't shut my damn mind off, Mary, to go to sleep or to meditate. And I'm like, so then there's your work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Libra is like, hi, it's my time of the year. Look how pretty nature is. And can you just take a moment and pause and put your head up from that phone and get a little bit unleashed? Because Libra is saying, it can be very mystical, Libra can. It's saying we're about to go into the longer days of night, a little more darkness in our atmospheric conditions here in the northern hemisphere. So when it's snowed in and ice and all that, you could look at your phones and your laptops all you want to, and your little Apple Watches and all that kind of stuff, but embrace me, leave it. Let it home on the charger and come out into me, and let the fire of the leaves remind you, wave goodbye as the leaves are falling, as the leaves are turning. Wave goodbye to that which, even if it was pain, served you well as a teacher in 2022. Go back to April and look how far you've had to adjust and how far you've come with what used to grip you. And the other shadow side of Libra is that fear that I'm not good enough, that I'm not pretty enough, that I can't keep them at that job, or they won't want me, in the same way in that relationship. Somehow with Libra, think about the scales of justice. My fear is I don't measure up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if we recognize the shadow, what's left, we can empower the positive.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say to everyone, think back to the last Aries season, like in the springtime, like what was going on around that time that you were kind of initiating or starting with that new moon that could be coming to an illumination or completion around this time that you're going to be closing out now for this season. And I think I love what you said there too about this, like, what are you willing to stand for, fight for right now? Because it feels like that there is some sort of shift happening in your values when it comes to relationships. What are you willing to fight for now that involves others, that is more meaningful to you than maybe it was where it was just an I, a me. And really kind of think about that, like what values within even your own relationships has shifted that you're now looking at, like, okay, I want to release something that, there's something about what you used to fight for is now shifting into something new that you really want to stand for, fight for in this time.
That's very powerful. It is. It's because, and when we say fight, we don't necessarily mean that you have to get angry.
No.
But look at the fact of how you're prioritizing it. Yeah, you're motivated to prioritize something that you feel like is going to end up being think about pastures of pleasure, and think about the hawk as it's enjoying the wind currents up above you, the red-tailed hawks and the smaller hawks. It rides the currents of the wind like the turkey vultures do. And the birds that fly up higher, they'll ride those currents of the wind. And then when you think about Libra, the dove of peace, they're often around people in very pastoral settings, like in the park, by the lake, at the dog parks. People like to seem to feed the pigeons or the doves. They think about, the white dove, like Stevie Nicks making that song famous decades ago, the white-winged dove, and then Prince, one of her other icons. This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the dove energy. And when you think about the dance of love, if you put those words together, that's the dove of peace, the dove of love, the dove, love. So it has to do with my desire. If you take that L away on love and put my D there, then it's like my desire as above, love, dove, as above here, am I allowing this to come present? So if there right now isn't a significant other in your life, peacefulness, or if there is an established relationship, but you felt, if you're really honest with yourself, you felt yourself kind of slipping interest or not wanting to confront something or feeling a little bit of a bridge between you, Libra and Mars and Gemini and Saturn and Aquarius is like you could erase entire moments of silent discontent by simply just moving to that point of peace, going, I really am glad you're in my life. I'm really enjoying this drive or the way that we can, I like it when we're like this. Just keep it simple. I like it when we're like this. This is so nice. And I just feel like it's so nurturing for both of us. And I have no other expectations about that except thank you for the laughter and the feast and the good times together, with your friends. And, there's people that we know socially. There's people that we have as clients and customers. And then there's the people that are on that inner orbit. I call them tribe. I have friends, but then the deepest level is the tribe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the tribe takes care of, they're monitoring each other, not nosy. They don't ask nosy questions. They let everybody be the way they need to be. But if they sense a discord or they sense, something that's troubling one of the tribal brothers or sisters, they get involved saying, what do you need? How you do? To your point, when you were talking about how the other people in our life, the people that we were supposed to meet this lifetime. So whether they died or you divorced them or they were your children that grew up, there's different levels and degrees and dynamics of knowingness that continue to birth and to grow. And so the autumn in the Northern Hemisphere, Libra is the first sign of autumn. There are 3 autumn signs, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in the autumn in the Northern Hemisphere of this year. And so for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, Libra is saying, I'm about to show you the harvest of your hard efforts over the growing season of summer. I'm going to show you what you planted in spring. There's different kind of bulbs and things we plant in autumn that will birth at the spring equinox here. And so it's saying, these are the fruits of your labors. So Virgo starts to look at how their labor has paid off, and Libra gathers the golden wheat. And, there's songs like Bringing in the Sheaves, and it's all about the abundance of what we planted psychologically, psychically, spiritually, physically, how we changed our diet to be less fast food and chemical laden, and how we started looking at reading labels and ingredients and going, oh, I don't want red number 40 in that. I mean, you really got to read a label. I went to an Amish market and bought some homemade from scratch cranberry sauce, and I'm now I'll do it again. I didn't think I had to read the full label. I knew there wasn't aspartame. I knew it was raw cane sugar, and I got to the last ingredient, and I'm like, red number 40.
Yeah.
There didn't need to be red number 40 put in. Yeah. I mean, they've done everything else natural. Now I won't eat it. Now I'll ask somebody else if they'd like it that isn't bothered by that, because at least I know that the first 15 ingredients or 5 ingredients, are going to bless them and are very healthy. So, but, I don't want to do, when you study what these colors, blue lake number this and yellow number that and red number that, they congregate in your cells. You don't get into fear. You just start making choices, because as my martial arts cousin always teaches in all his martial arts schools, choice equals consequence.
Yes. Oh, see, and I just talked about that on the All Signs. It was last night. No, 2 nights ago. But when this airs, it'll have been last week for my fire signs of all things. It was my fire signs where I was like, your choices have consequences.
Oh, absolutely. And you can make that affirmation very, very short. It could simply be your choice. There's the equation. Choice equals consequences. Mm-hmm. So a good choice is going to equal excellent. results or consequences based by you, by your effort and what you put in on it. You know, your commitment to the ride type of a thing. You don't let other people can't trigger you at all unless it's already living within you. It can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It can't do it. So where the Libra is saying, I'm the peacemaker, you know, let me make you fishers of men. Let's find the answer. Let's be, you know, look at Botticelli's artistic, you know, rendition of Venus, you know, coming out on the beautiful pale pink shell, one of Libra's colors, you know, on the foam of the sea, and the cherubs are all around her getting ready to throw the garment on top of her, and it's a pale pink garment with little Venusian symbols, you know, like the symbol for female of the little Venusian symbols that are on that. So right now what you need to know is if Aries is stirring your senses, an Aries full moon is stirring your senses, okay? But a Libra season is where Libra is in your chart with the sun and Venus and Mercury about to go back into Libra. It turned retrograde in Virgo. Libra is about, let me teach you what would be pleasurable for you right now. Let's stop stressing. Let's stop putting our eyes too much into horror and the news and things that are very stringent. You know, stop what you're letting energy get stuck to you by what you're making your priority attention of. You can't do it. You just can't do it. That's a choice that you're making. If you're playing too many video games, if you're eating too much junk food, if you're on the run too much and you're drinking too many sodas, don't blame the soda. Just try to get things back in Libra balance with what's going on. Stop blaming and shaming and judging yourself, but start taking more of an accountability.
Mm-hmm. Good. I love that. Okay.
Because again, don't punish. Don't punish yourself.
No, there's no need to do that. I think.
Well, if you want to have a chocolate cupcake, just go get a good one.
I know. Exactly. I think our human nature is to really make ourselves feel so guilty and ashamed for like doing one little thing outside of the box of allowance. And
I'll tell you though, this Aries full moon, when it comes to inner child work, this Aries full moon is also the warrior that woke up, was awakened within us, the true spiritual warrior, the fire of when somebody might have been around us doing a wrong choice or making an improper advancement or choice, you know, because the shadow side of Mars is damaging anger, damaging sexuality. Notice I didn't say sensuality, damaging physical type of abuses and harms. That's the shadow side of Mars. Well, Mars is in an intellectual sign right now, Gemini, and Venus is coming to, you know, it's in this empowering sign. Mercury is going to go into Libra. So right now, Mars is in Mercury's sign. It's in Gemini. So we can unlock where we were dissociative or where we blanked out or zoned out because it was just too much to handle when we were 2 or 8 or 14. It was just too much to handle. We didn't know how to process it. So now without having to volcanically erupt all the post-traumatic stress of it or all the disappointment of it and how could you say that to me or do that to me and why weren't you there for me, all of that is up on a shelf. And when you get the air signs involved in the fire signs, they're like, let's just get to the meat and potatoes of this and let's just get you, here's a key. This is a golden key. And it's going to go in and it's going to unlock that, and that can't haunt, and that can't stress, and that can't derail your creativity as a man, as a woman, in romance and money anymore. However they abandoned you, however they didn't protect or shield you, or whatever you wanted from them that in your mind, it's a choice you're making, that you didn't get, that you feel like wasn't fair, that's the cards that life dealt me weren't fair. Unlock that and let that go. Let the fire of this Aries moon, let that warrior, you know, see that warrior all in the knight's chainmail, you know, see the warrior, whether he's Greek or he's Genghis Khan, you know, or he's Native American or he's a Zulu or whatever, to see that warrior, see that actual root person or that medicine person, you know, put it like in a charcoal gray bowl, like some kind of steel bowl or a shell or something, and hand it to that warrior. There's different kind of medicine men and women. This is a warrior medicine man, you know, a root person, a shaman that goes into trance and, you know, kind of looks like he's in an exorcism moment, you know, or is performing an exorcism, casting, you know, the attached energies that which sticks to us, you know, it's casting that out. This is that deep, clean sweep of any kind of energies that have been attached too long and tried to keep us from going forward, whether it's government induced or psychologically induced or food, bioengineered food. If you go in first to your true home, your etheric light frequencies, no harm can come nigh thee. So this is that moon. The Aries moon is saying, hi, I'm the warrior. What do you want me to take and go alchemize? I'm the magician. I'm the warrior. I'm the shapeshifter. I'm the shaman. I'm the hoodoo person. I can take anything that's demonic or anything that's of dark magic. I'm that archangel. I can arrive right here. And if you'll give it to me, I'll take it from you forever. That's the work to do under this full moon.
Well, on that note, let's go into let's go into the signs and see like what people can expect compared to like their sun or their ascendant or even their moon.
Okay, so if you're, happy birthday, Libras. If you're Aries, then the moon is rising in your sign. You are fortified. You are having things revealed to you. You might find that actually you're either really, really sleepy because you're wanting to go into the higher realms and receive those divine downloads and those sacred uploads, and your ancestors and guides and archangels and sacred guardian angel is actually working on your hard drive of both the psychology of you, the ego base of you, and the mental realms of you. So Aries, you're in the spotlight, absolutely. So with Aries, it's like it's like you are the representative that everybody's waiting on the phone to talk to. Representative, give me customers, or representative. So you're the representative that goes, here we go. So Aries, you can handle the heat. You're looking now, I think for Aries, this is a great moon with everything in Libra. This is great if you've got an Aries moon or an Aries sun or an Aries rising sign, ascending sign. This is a great moon for you to be like an ambassador of encouragement, that you're able to be the one that says, let's go to lunch. Don't let that bother you. Come on, let me go take you to lunch. Let's go do our errands together and laugh all the way to the grocery store or to get gas or whatever we have to do, and let's go get dessert. So Aries, you can be, out of all 12 signs, the one that absolutely knows how to create a fun time for yourself. So with all the main planets in your 7th house, solarly, the Libra factor is saying, how might you go encourage or uplift or treat or tithe to another? And tithing can be financial, but it also can be, the power and the currency of your presence. So Aries, I think it's game on. If you're a Taurus, then this is the full moon of secrets. This has to do with what's being unearthed. Taurus is an earth sign. What's being unearthed and let loose within you psychologically, spiritually. Perhaps some repressed frustrations are coming up. Maybe you got called on the carpet or got held to account for your attitude, or maybe you got into a too nosy, Taurus rules the nose and the throat, too nosy or too stingy or too controlling modus operandi, and other people around you said, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not your donkey. I'm not your camel. I'm not your llama. So, stop expecting us to make you feel good. So with Taurus, it's in your 12th house, so it's the most powerful full moon for psychic advancement and really peering behind the veil, the Oracle of Delphi. I mean, there's in your private time. This is the full moon for you to kind of step back and see what comes toward you that might want to spend time with you. And it just might be that October 8th and 9th are full moon nights to where the moon wants to have a conversation with you in your dreams and your meditations and oracle work that you're doing, and that your rewards will be coming from the realms above 3D life. So it's secrets being revealed, and if anybody else felt like that they were kicked to the curbside or ghosted or their feelings got hurt, the Libra and the Mars and Gemini can help you, Taurus, talk it out, work it out, and at least come to that pleasurable impasse of like, I really didn't mean that. Thank you for putting me in check. I was being a little bit of a bully, Taurus the bull. I was being bullheaded. I was being not paying attention to the situation because I feel like I was looking at it of how is this going to benefit me? What's in it for me? That can happen when you've got a full moon in your 12th house. It can happen on an unconscious level. I'm talking to you about how to strategize it on a conscious level. So it's okay, Taurus, if this is a moon that you catch up with yourself. But I wouldn't put demands or expectations on anybody else because it's going to backfire. It's going to bow up on you. With Gemini, it's an 11th house full moon, so it's about who you love to hang out with, who you can let your hair down with. When's the last time you had that longer chat with your voice involved? on a phone with people that have danced in your past in a positive way, and positive implications with ex-workers or relationships and all that. So there's some things that can be mended. There's some fractures that can be healed. Not that you have to, but it just automatically can happen. But it's mainly about having a weekend of fun, or going to that great concert, or grabbing a buddy and say, let's go have lunch, or let's go get a little drink, or let's go sit under the moonlight type of a thing. It's about engaging, stimulating convo. That's Gemini. Why? Mars is in Gemini. Now, the shadow side for Gemini is you better knock it off in traffic. Stop taking the chances on the horse or the motorcycle or in your car and cussing people out and, oh my God, or almost rear-ending someone. You need to be behind any kind of wheel or any kind of mechanical, electrical tool, or anything that might be volatile, especially the 12th to the 15th of October. You need to be very focused and mindful of how you are reacting to someone else's potential lack of respect or disdain. So don't let other people start to put the rope around your energy or your aura by them, according to you, making you angry when you're in traffic or whatever it is. So you need to be very aware of your environment, and then just, don't expect anything from the crowd or the audience. Grab the person that isn't an energy vampire. Grab the person that you always have an easy flow conversation with. That's okay to have that agenda, and just the both of you just go have fun and just get that little charming, laughing moment for yourself, even if you just go do errands together. If you're Cancer moon child, your sun, moon, or ascendant is in the watery cardinal sign of Cancer, it's a strong moon for you. Why? Because you're a cardinal sign, and with the sun in the cardinal air transits of Libra and the full moon in the cardinal fire, emotional desire sign of Aries, then of course Cancer and Capricorn, being cardinal water and cardinal earth, are going to be the four signs that are affected by this full moon the most. That's Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. This is a big damn deal full moon for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot that's coming to the surface. Now for Cancerians, they're looking more with an Aries moon, they're looking more at the goal, the long range view. So it might be something you're thinking that you want to kind of start to structure and start the foundation of the idea or the creative project that might actually bear its harvest and its fruits 2 years from now. So it's for Cancerians, it's the long range goal. I'm working as a teacher now, but I've almost got blah, blah, blah saved up, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to take a year off to vacation, or then I'm going to go and I'm going to actually find the father I never knew because I was adopted. So there's some things that are going to be significant sojourns, vision quest, learning cycles, and a lot of Cancerians are coming into a very favorable cycle that you just might be put in charge. It might be all of a sudden you're the boss, or you're in charge, or you get to run it or manage it. So there's a interesting scales of Libra here about Cancerian being the team player, proving themselves since 2016. And now all of a sudden, it's like it really can be the trumpet blasting for the success and the accomplishment. Like, you did it. You got it. Like when someone finally gets their PhD, or someone finally gets a degree, or they finally own their first microphone or their first car. It's just like, it really happened. Well, when you buy your first car, you're not focusing so much on how you never had a car and you never could drive. Maybe the first couple of weeks you stare at it at night and you look at your keys and you take all kinds of errands that you can because it's your first car, or the first car that you fall in love with, or your very first motorcycle. If it has to do with, oh my God, it's there, I got it, or your first horse, whatever it is. So it has to do with, really appreciating your assets and looking at your personal soul assets, intellectual assets, experiential assets, and how you bring knowledge that you and a whole bunch of other people know. Lots of people study psychology. Lots of people own tarot decks. Lots of people spend time with numerology or astrology or, yoga and all that. How do you bring a uniqueness to the table? How do you bring heaven to earth and not need to overwhelm somebody or, be the drill instructor? So if you're a Leo, it's ninth house. So the fire signs are favored by this. If you're an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, there's a little bit more of a sweet star kiss for you. So with Leo, it's your ninth house. And here comes some philosophical upgrades. Here comes some revelations from your angels. Here comes some ways and means that you receive divine codes or messages and intuitive insights that you're just like, well, doggies, look at there. I mean, all of a sudden it's just like, whoa, that's a confirmation. Wow, I absolutely believe now. So it's got to do with Leo's looking at what spiritual harbor is the most comfortable for me. And you start with what part of nature are you most comfortable with? Where do I relax the most in nature? Is it on the red rocks out west? Is it by a waterfall? Is it in the lush, forest? Is it by fields of flowers? What is it? Is it in a big city? Where is it, if you're a Leo, that you really feel like that there's the harmony of the spheres? And somehow I'm feeling around Leo, there's something to do with dance and music. So whether maybe you're not a dancer, maybe you're not in the theater, but maybe that's somehow coming in around you. And it could be that you go to some kind of Renaissance and medieval fair and you absolutely strike up an interesting conversation with the jousting knight or the fire twirler. I mean, like in Burning Man, they've got all these people, like mimes and fire twirlers and all these things that are going on. So with Leo, it can be the entertainers want to talk to you. They maybe want to seek you out, because Leo can be such a great audience. Oh my God, there's so much fun at parties and events when you get a Leo in the audience. Believe me, that performing artist is going to know that they're appreciated. That comedian, that singer, that dancer, Leo is going to go, wow. Even if it's your kid, they're going to go, that was nice. That was nicely. And they'll tell the kid, right? They'll go right over going, you did so good. So they become those coaches, those, soccer and football and cheerleading coaches that is, you're when you're struggling to do all the floor work that you have to do for gymnastics, they're the ones to say, A for effort. You may not have gotten where you wanted to be with that, but I can see your intention and your effort. So that's how we start to learn how to do affirmations and cast our intentions. When we run relay races and we have to do certain gym things, or we're trying to learn to play archery. So that's all around Leo. Like, what do you want to amuse yourself with that could also at the same time be garnering a new skill? If you're Virgo, so now we're in Libra. So the sun is now beginning to get you all caught up on business things, getting the new tag on your license or this or that, or like getting the renters out that needed to move out that broke all the things. And everybody goes, oh God, when they've got to deal with stuff like that. It may have to do with getting your oil changed. It may have to do with checking your tires. So this is a good time for Virgo to do those mundane material self-checklist. Okay, what months do I want to clean the carpets, or do I want to pull the carpets up and put in pergo or tile? And it's a really good time for Virgos to kind of say, all right, when it comes to my financial, business, legal world, what is serving me, and what is something that I feel balanced with and okay with, and what seems to be aggravating me every time I got to go deal with that job or that business or that particular person that works at my business or that I work alongside with. So with Virgo right now, they went through the trial by fire, and now Libra and this moon at the 8th house is saying, take some time off and play. I mean, dig your heels into the sand, go ride the horse, go take go ride the tail of a dragon with your motorcycle, go hike up in the woods, go just lay down with someone you care about and gaze at the stars. Spend all night outside with a little niece or nephew that would love to spend the night out under the stars before it gets so cold, but they want an adult that they feel safe with, that they feel safe with. Be that aunt, be that uncle, don't be the creep in the family, be that, person that can say to them, I got you, it's okay, let's just go do s'mores, all that kind of stuff, the pleasure, the dessert and everything. That's Libra. So Virgo likes to feel like they are of service and that, they can teach and they can guide. So if you come in as a Virgo or a Pisces, part of your work here is to teach and serve. And with the Pisces, your big part of your work is to serve those that have an affliction in some way, those that might need physical therapy, or they have special needs, or they're the unwanted animals, or they're the stray cats or the dogs, or, you're the one that takes the blankets and the Fabuloso cleaner and paper towels over to the shelter, because you'd like, here's things that actually take care of the grunt work that people have to do that are volunteers. So with Virgo right now, it's about prioritize, and where does the light need to come in and help balance you with the day-to-day routine responsibilities, and what needs to be fixed, for God's sakes, just do it. Prioritize that. And once you fix the door if it's out of alignment, once you mop the kitchen, once you, go through your closets and donate and give away to people in need, we talked about with Virgo and Pisces, then go celebrate. go party, get ready for the Mexican Day of the Dead, go get your costume ready for a fun Samhain Halloween party, go look for some adult fun, to do with, grab a friend or grab a cousin or grab just a guy that's a friend and just go out and go to, plan to go to a Halloween party this year. Even if you're sitting in a restaurant, you just get to watch the parade of the costumes, watch the archetypes that people choose to dress up as. Do they dress up as horror, or do they dress up as something that is beautiful and alluring? Yeah, look at that. Do they dress up as an animal? Yeah. Okay, so with Virgo, it's like planning ahead. If you're a Libra, it's the sun is in your first house. There's one side of the scales. The full moon is lighting up very strongly because you're a cardinal sign, your significant other realm of your chart. So if the ascendant is the open door to your chart where you walk into the deeper part of you. So whatever our rising sign or our ascendant is the front door to our round house that has 12 rooms. So if you're a Libra, then this room in your chart, in your star map, when I'm going into the room, I'm going into room number 7 with this full moon, and this is where I sit down and I dine with someone, or I'm having a glass of wine with someone, or I'm in their office or their study, and we're talking about more meaningful things of life, or I'm entering into the private boudoir or the private, a parlor of desire and pleasure and intimacy. That's the 7th house too. So significant others aren't just who we're laying down with. Significant others are people whose actions and words and approval of us matter the most. Like if I rescued a dog from a shelter, it becomes a significant other. I saved it. It looks to me as its protector. Now that might be a role that vice versa, and it may be a guard dog or whatever, but I took it out of a shelter. It imprinted and bonded with me. I'm responsible for that animal's well-being. So I become its tribal pack leader. So that's also going on with Libras. I get a really strong psychic sense that with you Libras, that where the valley's been a little dry, or Libra risings or Libra moons, that where the romantic, valley has been a little dry and there's been a lot of sandstorms. I feel like that as you move into October, into January, I feel like that's going to be an oasis. I really like the personal, intimate oasis for people that are Libra sun signs or Libra rising signs. A little bit with the moon, but this full moon is going to take you 6 months. If you've got a Libra moon natally in your birth chart, it's going to be 6 months before that fruit ripens. Right now, if you're a Libra or a Libra ascendant rising sign, the fruits are beginning to find their way into your basket. If you're a Scorpio, it's 6th house. So 6th house has to do with the things that we make a part of our day-to-day world. It has to do with our responsibilities. It has to do with our acts of service, random acts of kindness, paying it forward. I was speaking about the animals before. If you're a Scorpio, it has a lot to do with those creatures in nature that you put in the sunflower seeds out. The deer wants you to pet it. The crows are grateful you threw your stale bread out. We're beginning to interact telepathically with our animal totems and the archetypes that are coming forward in 2022. Like in 2021, you might have seen a gray heron all the time, or you might have seen an ibis when you went to the beach. The ancient Egyptian birds, those pretty pink ibis birds with the really long curved beaks, might have been pelicans, might have been a dolphin. You might have went to a zoo with a group of friends to see that's a great metaphysical exercise. Grab a couple of friends or some relatives and go to your local zoo and just quietly, don't hang with the crowd, quietly come up on the different enclosures of the reptiles or the animals or the giraffe and watch, if it's the mountain goat, watch which animal turns to focus on you. And just make note of that, because that's your current present day animal totem that focused on you. Out of the 4 people you're standing with or the person you're standing next to, it came over to you, it focused on you, it bayed to you, or it, turned its head to you, because that's that telepathy. It's a great way to test your telepathy and your silent communication. You don't have to go buy all these animal decks and just go to the zoo. Just go to the zoo. So I would suggest that with Scorpio or Scorpio risings, be on the lookout with our Earth Mama, Mother Nature, on which animal is showing up for you as, that's not hung out on the property before. When I always hike this trail, I haven't seen that. And maybe it'll show up in your dreams. With a full moon, it can show up in your dreams, or it can be an animal on your path work in meditation. But Scorpio right now is looking at their spirit mind, body, health factors. They're building their immune systems. They're looking at their herbs. They're eating more garlic. They're thinking about elderberry and oregano, and they're doing study right now as we go into the colder months in the Northern Hemisphere about how do I start being proactive to take care of my immune system now, prebiotics, probiotics, what essential oils do I shift into autumn and winter that I don't necessarily lean into in spring, summer. If you're a Sagittarius, it's all about flirt with life, play with life, dance with romance, take a chance. Sagittarius right now, it's fun and frolic, and it's, Robin Hood and Maid Marian, and if there's been any disharmony or betrayals or frustrations in your intimacy room of your chart or the intimate corner of the world, this is where the Sagittarian's going, yeah, he's going to start singing the old song by George Michael, freedom, freedom. Yeah, it's like, or the old song, you just get yourself free. So it's about a very liberating, whatever the Sagittarius has been dealing with, been quietly frustrated about, didn't know if that relationship's going to hang on or not, trying to talk to the partner, trying to understand where the partner is coming from. Well, that ship has sailed. And now the Sagittarius has got their eyebrow raised going, you know what? People come into your life sometimes for a reason, and people come into our lives sometimes for just a season. So if you don't want to lose that Sagittarius in your life, you better be on your best game. You better ask them things like, we doing okay? And anything you'd like to do or go have fun with is the Sagittarius. Anything do you want to take a trip alone? Is there something that you'd like to go study? Would you want to take a walk with me along the beach, or want to sit out under the moon and just do your little campfire and your little kiva or whatever it is, or your little thing you grill on, and just sit there with them? Sometimes our Sagittarian friends and partners just need to be listened to. And people keep thinking about that with Gemini. But Sagittarians often try to think about the good of their family. They're often the black sheep to their family or their lover, and they don't get a lot of audience. You only really see them when they get frustrated or mad about something, or, that's it. So it's really good if you're involved with a Sagittarian lover or child or parent, just to say, let's go sit and talk. How you doing? It's the porch swing.
I can concur with that as a Sagittarian moon.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes they just need you to, you don't have to be totally quiet, but sometimes they just need you to walk with them and let them talk, and, or just simply start the conversation by saying to them, listen, I haven't really asked you what's new with you and what's going on at deep levels with you, and what are your aspirations, and, do you know at this point in the year of 2022 what you want to get more involved with and less involved? How are the sands of time shifting with you? I mean, you look at the scales of justice, it's like when we're holding those scales of justice and it's a horizontal balance, right? Well, sometimes it's like, one of those scales of justice starts to get heavier, right? So it's just like, I want less of that. So that load is lightened and I want to go more into that. That's beginning to feel off balance or too heavy for me now. I want to take some rocks out of that side of that. That's too many crystals on that side. That's too many coins. It's costing me too much of my money or my inner peace, or it's costing me too much. I'm losing sleep over it. So start looking at what cost, at what price, energetically. It isn't just the money. If you're a Capricorn, home, family, kids, parents, grandparents, Ancestry.com type of stuff. It's all about, breaking generational curses, embracing generational blessings and strengths. There's, in our family lineage, there's also those people that showed up that just rocked the Casbah. There's those grandparents or relatives or whatever, that the neighbors across the street from our house that were just like, thank God you were there. That was like, again, it has a lot to do with, what comes in as a plus, what seems to challenge us as a minus. But with Capricorn, I think about all the Capricorns in the path of the storm Ian. All the Capricorns going back to their condos and their boat docks in Florida and South Carolina, and, that route of the storm surge and the flooding. Having lived in a hurricane zone for 20 years, it's the storm surges and it's the flooding that can be the most challenging, more than just if it's a direct hit of a hurricane, but look at how the element of air and wind got their attention. Anybody in the path of that storm. And when I did the etymology and I researched, where does the name IAN come from? What does the name Ian mean? It pops up as it's from the Scottish Gaelic, and it's their name for our name, Jonathan, is Ian, and the Scottish Gaelic. And I said, well, take it back to Greek or Latin or Hebrew, some of the older languages, what does these three letters mean when you go back to it? And I was like, whoa. And on the same day that they were talking about Ian, on that Monday, September 26th, that it was going to come off of Cuba into Florida, I looked that up, and the name Ian, when you take it far back as you can, means God is gracious. And then that same day was when NASA's DART system, Direct Asteroid Research technology, when it went into that Dimorpheus asteroid, and it was a direct hit the first time. And I thought, well, that's happening. Also on this first day of the High Holy Days of Awe and the Feast of Trumpets, the shofar, ram's horn being sounded for the first day here on sunrise on Monday, September 26th. I'm going to look that up. And it meant of two sides, two forms. And I'm like, there's the Gemini again. There's the Gemini again. There was a unit that NASA sent up. There's one thing, one form, and it crashed into that asteroid that they named Dimorphos. And then when you look up the name of Dimorphos, going back into Greek and Latin, it has of two forms. So it's two sides, two forms, yin, yang, he, she, whatever, light, dark. So I found that fascinating. And that leads us into Aquarius. And Aquarius, it's a third house hit for Aquarius. Now listen, Aquarians are ready more than any other 12 signs to get Saturn the heck out of their sign. Aquarians have felt like their dragonfly wings have been a little grounded. It's like a little bit heavy a dew. In the morning, I like the morning dew, but it's been a little bit heavy on my wings over the last, 12 months, and I'm really ready to maneuver. There's a whole lot of Aquarian people, Aquarian moons, Aquarian Mars, Aquarian rising signs that are ready to actually geologically shift locations. And it can have a lot to do tracing back to 2017 when we had that solar eclipse that had not happened across North America for 99 and a half years, that August 21st solar eclipse in the latter degrees, 29th degrees, the Antarctic degree of Leo. Well, in 2024, that's not so far away. In 2024, there's actually another eclipse coming in across America up in near Ohio, and it's gonna be X marks the spot. So you can start looking at the great solar eclipse across America in 2024. I promise you, if you live in the USA, that's a significant year of change for you. And look back to 2017, how far you've come since late August of 2017 to now, right now in 2022. But we're closer to 2024. So
I was actually, it's funny, I was looking at that eclipse pathway literally just this week. And it looks like it's going from like lower Texas and then straight across into the eastern seaboard.
Absolutely. And if you study where the actual X apex is, it takes you right up in there to that Ohio Valley. Mm-hmm. Like Sweetwater, Tennessee in 2017, actually was there. Sweetwater, Tennessee was the main point of the one that happened in 2017. It was so cool because you could actually see what they call the eclipse shadows and ripples dancing all over the ground. It was incredible. It looked like charcoal gray little waves of energy movements all over the sidewalks and the roads and your hand and the animals. It was wild. The great North American eclipse. The one in 2024 is Aries. So once again, make a little note in your journals that this full moon in Aries, which is Mars governed, comes nigh and very strong with the path work, because the house, the room in our chart that's going to be emphasized by that great North American eclipse of 2024 in Aries is going to be the Aries room in our 12-sided, the circle house that we live in. It's going to be the Aries room of our house. So when you go into your chart, make a note that this full moon is tied, because we get ADD and we forget. This full moon is a seed that comes to fruition in a big way in 2024, in the Aries time of 2024, because it's going to be in Aries. So it's coming up in that March-April dynamic of 2024. And then so for Aquarius, I want to say that you may need to write it. If you've got frustration, if you've got things that are playing havoc in your head and you're going into monkey mind and you can't shut your thoughts off and the self-talk is all over the place, just take a journal and write all down, or a notepad and write all down, and then just enjoy the satisfaction of ripping it up because you got it off your chest that way. As Aquarius's balance is the heart center, it's Leo. The balance to Aquarius is Leo. So if it's something that you're detaching from because they didn't treat you right emotionally or respect you romantically, write it all down privately to you, because that pulls it from the unconscious to the conscious. Read it, rip it up, because that's a type of ceremony too. I'm going to put this on paper. I'm going to bring it from the inside of me, the unconscious private side of me. I'm going to take a pen or a pencil, and I'm going to write all down everything that I don't like, and I'm going to visually read it. I'm going to read it to myself and look at it. That brings it from the subconscious to the conscious mind, and then there's a different kind of a hemisync to the brain that happens, and your guides can come in because you've done some writing and some automatic writing, which is something I love to do psychically when it flows through me. So all of a sudden, spirit writing can start to occur with answers for you that before you wrote it down weren't even available, had not even crossed the frequency codes of your how you're wired. And then for Pisces, final sign, this Aries full moon that rises for Pisces, last month it was in Pisces, so this becomes a full moon of what do you value, why do you value it, and what are you doing to spend more of your time, invest more of your time and energies into it? What are you doing to meet the possible prosperity moonlight of this only full moon in a whole year that's going to be lighting up your second house of what I value, what I like to spend money on, where I like to spend my time, who I like to be with, how I feel like that I can bring value to this relationship or this job or my home life. So if you're the Pisces that's laying around pissed off because you want one of your relatives or somebody else to clean your house, and you lay there and you indulge and you computer game and you video game and you do this and that, and you never clean your house, or you dump that on your teenager to do all of it, you're not being fair. You're not being fair and balanced. And that's Libra. Is it a win-win? Is it fair and balanced? Instead, you turn around to that teenager, or you turn around to the husband or roommate or whoever you're living with to say, I am so lazy when it comes to cleaning house. Can I pay you $300 to clean this whole house? Get creative.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're probably going to get sloppy again. You're probably going to get cluttered again because Pisces can be hoarders. So Pisces and Libra can really get into collectibles. But what you can do then is realize that I actually blessed somebody else by paying them for cleaning, or the two main rooms that bother you the most. I personally love things clean. So I do it in increments all the time because I don't want to be overwhelmed by cleaning. I just don't want to do it. So the way someone with strong Virgo in their chart does it is a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time. Today's going to be the stove, next going to be the counters, and I'm going to go do this. And, I'll tell you a little secret I found out that was really fun. You got to be careful with what your collectibles are. But I went out and I had a psychic vibe, and I went in the garage. I'm like, I'm going to get that electric leaf blower because I can't stand dust on ceiling fan blades in restaurants or in the home. So I went out and I got my leaf blower, and you have to start from the very top of your ceiling so you don't blow everything off your shelves, okay, and put it on low. And then it's amazing. All that stuff you'd have to get on a step ladder, and all that dust, it's on that upper part of your ceiling fan blade, and the stuff that you never knew was under your bed. You don't have to spend $600 for one of those robo circular cleaners. Get that electric leaf blower, and whoom, it puts every bit of dog hair, every bit of dust, everything just goes, open up the window, it just goes flying out. It's great. It's great. What would have taken me hours took me 3 minutes per room.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm just like, yeah, I feel like some kind of blue collar mountain chick. I took the leaf blower and I blew all the dust and the crumblies. And I mean, now listen, if you're going to do your stove, you're going to get a tarp, get an old sheet, and just cover up your stove, because dust is going to be a flying. Those ceiling fans that you can't reach when you've got these cathedral high ceilings, like I've got some of them here. Yeah, you want to cover up that glass table or your couches, with really light, thin blankets or sheets, because once you clean that room, that same sheet can go with you to the other room, and all the dust blows down on that, and you're not, dusting and cleaning at lower level anymore. It takes a little bit of strategy, but you know what? It was a good choice that bore out some great consequences. I mean, I was done and out to lunch in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It was so funny. And my friend's like, you did what? And now they said, I'm going to do that, because they've been fretting over, their ladder's not high enough to get to the their cathedral level ceiling fan blades. And of course they're off in summer. You got to get up there to change them from winter to summer. And I said, which one blows off your ceiling fan blades when you do that? And they're just like, oh my God, I had all the spider webs that you can't see until certain times of the day and all that. Yeah, just get that electric leaf blower on low, start upward and go down. You don't want to start at the bottom and go up, because it blows all the dust up on your bookshelves and everything. You want to go up, down. It's amazing. It's a nice little secret I just gave you there.
All right. Well,
so it's a time of action.
Yes.
Aries is action. Aries is assertive. Aries is awesome. Aries is like the one that will initiate, as you said. It will initiate is to say, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain if you just dip your toe in the water a little bit. If you don't like yoga, or you don't like essential oils, or you don't like going to the Daytona Speedway. You don't have to come back, but let's just go try it out and have fun.
Yeah.
Because Aries and Aquarius are about, and Sagittarius are about, let's go try. Why not?
Take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
Take a risk. Well, I want to say happy early birthday to you, because we're going to miss our favorite Halloween baby's birthday.
I love autumn and I love Samhain, Halloween. Oh, everything about it. I do. And you'll appreciate this, Nicole. You'll want to appreciate this. I'll tell you this real quick. There's been this stray cat, of course, because I'm a lady of the woods, that somebody dumped off. She's charcoal gray. She's real feral. I'm just now getting her to touch my fingers so I can, get her and get her a home. And today I went up there to feed her, and this cat goes, meow, 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 meow. And I turn around and I look, and it's a solid black cat. And I'm like, well, on the last day of September, just look at you, little black boy. Here he comes with he's intact. Here he comes with this little bouncing black cojones, and he comes over to me. He's feral. He comes right to me and wants me to start petting him. The gray cat's looking at him like, wow, she's been feeding me, trying to train me for over a year, and I still don't let her pet me. And I'm like, of course, it's a black cat. Of course. So my new totem showed up, a black cat, a black boy cat. So, and you can look these things up. Yeah, look it up. What does this totem mean? What does this animal medicine mean? It doesn't have to be some knock you off your feet animal medicine totem experience. It can be like you've never, ever seen a peacock walk through your yard, and all of a sudden it walks through your yard, and I'm like, okay, that's not normal. That's out of the ordinary. And it keeps walking, but that's your totem. That's how your angels and guides showed it up for you. So assume the position and do a little research on it and go out and feed it. That's what the Native Americans teach you to go out and feed it, throw a food offering out there. You don't have to wait to see if it eats it, but just you're thanking spirit for showing up the totem for you. It's fantastic, and it only makes it start to happen more. The other day, the yellow jackets, this time of the year, they start to die. They start to starve, actually, because they're getting ready to, the queen's leaving, and they're going to die, all the worker yellow jackets. Well, nobody likes yellow jackets. They sting the crap out of you, and it really, really hurts for a week. So I went out with some water, and I just sprayed all the flowers with water, and like 20 yellow jackets went to the water just so they could drink. And I'm like, good. I got yellow jacket, good karma. Maybe I won't get stung for a while. But, people don't think about the less desirable air, insect, bird, totem. So my focus as a Halloween witchy poo girl was I'm looking at the birds, and I'm looking at the insects, and I'm looking at the wind directions. I'm going to be doing smudging and saging with my crystals, as I come to this full moon, because remember, the full moons are the best cycle magically to do release work.
Mm-hmm.
And the new moons are your best cycle. The lunation of the new moon is the best cycle to cast forth desires and intentions and affirmations. So this October 9th full moon is Aries fire. There's the campfire. There's the ceremonial fire. There's the sacred fire. Write down on a piece of paper what you're ready, quietly, privately, secretly, just for you, what you're ready to see more of come into your life, and what you're ready to release that was a former inhibiting factor in your romance, in your personality, in your responses to things, your own anger, your temper. Absolutely. With an Aries full moon, I have to finish by saying this. Take a check on how you express your anger. Is it productive or is it self-destructive? So all of us, regardless of our sign, this is a Mars-ruled full moon in Aries. Where does your temper get you? Where are you not being that disciple or that aspirant or that balanced personality of light when it comes to when you get snippy or you get irritated or you get overtired and you're rah, 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 rah. When you get into rah, 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 how are you expressing it? What's going on with you? And maybe we could all put ourselves a little bit better in check and not say that sarcastic thing or cast that insult sword. And maybe we could use this particular full moon to improve our skills of verbal responses.
Well said. Well, let everyone know where they can find you, Mary.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I love coming to your audience. They're very gracious and very intelligent. My website is marydusina.com, MARY, D as in divine, U, S as in spirit, I, N as in now, A as in always.com.
Awesome. And of course, as always, I will leave links for Mary's website and all of her social media down below so you can follow her. And of course, she does the new moon readings on Joe Roop's Lighting the Void podcast every time there's a new moon. So you can absolutely follow her there. And I want to say to all of you in my alchemy program this Sunday, we are going to be doing our monthly call. It is on the full moon in Aries. And for any of you who are not part of the alchemy program and you'd like to join our community and be on that live call, the link for joining that program is down below. So thank you so much, Mary, for joining us once again. Have a very happy birthday on Halloween. And I'm looking forward to having you back on for our Taurus lunar eclipse.
Yeah, and the next new moon show that I do on the Fringe.fm and Lighting the Void will be our solar eclipse. Yes. So certainly, Nicole and your audience, come over and join. Now, that's a live broadcast where I do live readings on air.
Perfect.
So that, and the Eastern time, that comes on at midnight. So that's where the audience can really participate, including you, Nicole. And I always say to the audience, you can call in and use a fake name because I'm not doing your reading off of what your name is. Like you can have full privacy and just make up a name. It's okay. It's, hi, this is Tiny. I don't care what it is because I draw a tarot card right there and we do some astrological stuff about the new moon. But the next new moon, and to Nicole's point, the next time I'm with Nicole and you, they're both eclipses. They're both eclipses. And that is new soul vision quest assignments that come up when we have those eclipses.
Well, I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
Thank
you.
My
audience, I love you guys so much. Have a great full moon in Aries. Think about what it is that you need to release around yourself so that you can take a risk that involves other people. Maybe it's, letting something go about. I feel like it's like there's something coming up for many of you around being able to lean on others and not having to do it alone. I think given that we just came out of the whole situation of 2020, where we were all isolated and had to figure stuff out alone, I just feel like there's something here that's very healing with that Chiron energy about letting that cycle close out and really embrace community again. So I love you guys. Have a wonderful evening and I'll see you next week. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.